Blog Talk Radio.
Sarah, are you on the line?
Yes. Yes, I'm here.
Oh, my apologies. We just had some technical difficulties with Block Talk Radio, but here we are again. Let me actually restart everything. My apologies for that. You know how Block Talk Radio could be when we have these amazing guests that come on. But like I was saying, when I guess Block Talk was messed up, we are actually honored to be a media sponsor and partner for CE Week, which is partnered with Get Geek Events. So it's a huge technology and computer event on the East Coast. So everyone can go check out CE Week and Get Geek Events. So thank you guys for sponsoring us and allowing us to be a partner. June 23rd is the actual event at Metropolitan Pavilion from 6 to 9 p.m. for everybody to go out there and check out the latest technology and gadgets that's out there right now. We'll be out there enjoying ourselves. Like I was saying earlier, Cierra Thurman is actually a native of Chicago, Illinois. She was raised in a gang-infested neighborhood where high crime rates and drugs were considered the norm. From a young age, Cierra was determined to make out the hood. Her family's transition to the suburbs and a full athletic scholarship to play Division I basketball was her ticket. People know her, describe her as an old soul. Loves to exercise, but only to combat her cravings for Southern comfort food. Cierra is currently a police officer armed with a master's degree from Loyola University, and she prides herself on her dual education, book smarts, and street smarts. This resilient young woman is determined to not allow her past to dictate her future. She's an author, publisher, and motivational speaker. And when she's not writing, she enjoys cooking, traveling, and a healthy dose of reality shows. So it's an honor today, guys, to have everybody I am your host, Vickens, Moscova, of Omnipresence Media Podcast. Cierra Thurman, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Oh, my pleasure. You're doing amazing work out there. Being from Chicago, come out of that hood is a statistic and a stat on its own. So much respect to you and everything you do. For the people out there that for the people out there that may not know about you, is there anything you want to let them know or share with them so they could get a bit more info on you?
Sure. Well, as you said, my name is Cierra Thurman, and I'm an author. And my main message in my book that I'm really trying to push and get people is not to become a victim to your circumstances. Basically, where you started is not where you want to finish, and allow your journey, use that as your growth.
That's an excellent point. Because as I'm sure we are aware, just in Chicago last weekend, about 49 or more people were taken out again, but that wasn't on the news. But the Orlando shooting thing is kind of taking over. Being from somewhere like that, how are the people actually able to cope? Is your book a way to kind of help heal the people?
Yeah, it's sad because the state that we're in right now, all the shootings and everything, we're living like in a war zone, and the killings are becoming normalized. So I just really want to try to reach our youth. That's actually my main target audience for the book, because if we don't reach them, it's like we're doomed. Everyone needs to be accountable and stop placing blame and pointing the fingers about whose fault it is, and just be accountable in your own way. We need to do something, whatever that something is. For me, it's writing. It's just trying to get the youth more involved, more positivity, team building, helping with self-esteem, things of that nature.
Yeah, that's so important, especially person to be able to take out a person that looks like them. Something has to be mentally wrong with that. What do you think is part of the root cause that kind of creating this kind of war zone? Because Chicago is just one of the main examples today, but there's other parts of the world outside the country, but there's places like Newark or Compton or other areas like Florida that are going through similar things, but it seems to be focused in certain communities, even like St. Louis. Right. What do you think is like part of the issue or root cause that's creating people to hate themselves so much that they could kill their own brother or sister?
And you know what? I think that's basically it. We are systematically taught to hate ourselves. And because we don't love ourselves, we don't have a problem with pointing a gun at a person that looks just like us. We need to really focus on our self-esteem and learning to love ourselves and putting God first.
Right. And you mentioned God. Do you feel that maybe the church or religion is part of, the issue of people not knowing themselves, or how did they play into this? Because there's black churches all over. I'm sure there's a lot in Chicago.
Yeah, but we're not as grounded. You don't necessarily have to go to church to. I attend Trinity. I attend a church, but you don't necessarily have to be in a church home. I feel like when you're around like-minded people, people that are more spiritual, then you may grow more. But you don't necessarily have to go to church. You can just pray more. You can read your word more, and just really develop your relationship with God and whatever God that is that you praise. Spirituality for me has been everything, because I know it's not because of me that I've come this far and been as blessed as I've been. He's purely just moving this thing forward and using me as a vessel to do it.
Oh, likewise, and I'm so thankful we could come together as vessels and spirits under the Most High, looking to provide a better example and solutions for our people out here, because it's the epidemic, and it only becomes an epidemic when Caucasians start to realize that they're in this as well, because even me myself, there's not only the killings with guns and weapons, but also with the drugs and pills and lean and the opiates and everything like that. That's a generation. Even people in my own class, '03 in Woodbridge High, there's people dying left and right. Do you feel that these drugs are part of the what's getting people out of their mind, basically? Because it's not natural to for us especially. We're peaceful people when we're in our right environment. How do you feel the drugs play into this?
Well, ultimately, whatever your vice is, it could be drugs, it could be alcohol. It's a million things that it can possibly be, but it basically boils down to the fact that we don't love ourselves. And if we focus more on that piece, or more on that component, on finding ways to just be happy and love ourselves and appreciate the things that we do have in life, I really feel like a lot of these shootings, these killings, the drug epidemic, the alcoholism, all the gang banging, all that wouldn't be. If we really loved ourselves, we wouldn't be focused on that.
You're
we
right.
need to put God first, and we
focused.
need to really focus on loving ourselves.
Yeah, so I 100% agree with you, and I'm sure there's millions of people out there that will too, and that should definitely get your book. Can you get into your books a bit and let us know a bit about them? Because I know everybody's wondering where they could find them, and what inspired you to really write them, sit down and take the time to put in.
Definitely. My book is entitled My Life, the One He Never Got to Witness. And it's basically a letter I wrote to my father, who was murdered by Chicago police when I was a little girl.
Wow.
And it was hard for me to put those feelings and emotions on paper, but I basically wrote a letter to him explaining, in your absence, this is everything I endured, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And ultimately, I want people to, be inspired by the story. Of course, they can relate to what's going on with police and community right now in this time, but I really want them to get the message. Don't become a victim to your circumstances. And my life wasn't all bad. Yes, there were struggles, but I overcame a lot. With the help of God, with the help of my family, we were able to push past a lot. And if they're interested in purchasing the book, they can go to my website, CierraThurman.com. That's CierraThurman.com. And on all social media, it's the same handle, Cierra Thurman. It's also available for those interested on Amazon and Kindle, Barnes & Noble, things like that.
Oh, amazing. That's amazing. So you said the Chicago PD actually murdered your father. What was that like? How did that come about? Was he doing something that they felt that was unlawful, or did they?
No, actually, he was murdered inside of our home. He was shot 5 times in his back, and he was unarmed. So no, he wasn't doing anything unlawful. My father wasn't, an angel by far, not at all. We all have our flaws, but no, he didn't break any laws or anything like that. And I talk about it in my book. There was a lawsuit that was filed, but then there was a twist to that. That's in the book. And then I go through, just how it was like for me growing up, always wanting to be daddy's little girl and never feeling or knowing, that dream never being realized. And at one point I had to make my mind and say, okay, my daddy's never coming back. Me, my mom, and my brother, we have to figure this thing out. I need to be strong for my family of 3. And that's what I did. I basically helped my mom raise my little brother, and I pretty much grew up quicker than my peers.
Right, because you had no choice, and you have to become your own support system, which is pretty much unfair for anybody to have to go through. And that's why I'm so thankful you could come on a show and share one of your healing tools, because, unfortunately, we're seeing these hashtags today all the time with Black and Negroes names attached to them. People getting shot by cops. But the thing is, they're also shooting and killing themselves in a sense. So it's not only police violence that's out there. When people are doing the same thing to themselves, how can they even point the finger? But it's unfortunate that it actually, continues to happen. So what actually made you allowed you to even become a police officer? Is it like you wanted to instill change or what?
Right. I basically turned my pain into my purpose. Instead of placing blame, I decided to be the change I wanted to see in my community. And one of the ways that I do that is with policing. It's just helping people. It's not too often that you see a person that looks like you in your community. There's a more sense of trust there. So again, I could have been the person that hated the police. But I didn't look at it as it was anybody's fault. It was like, okay, this is where we at. We can't go back. Let's just move forward. And I wanted to be the change I wanted to see in my community. So I decided I started off teaching. So I have education. I was in the education field, and then I switched over to policing.
All right, excellent point. Because we definitely have to stop pointing the finger at people, because as like a lot of people in my network realize, we definitely need the police to do their job and to be out there protecting and serving. We just got to make sure that everyone is informed and knows is trained properly for different situations. Because, for example, like that 12-year-old boy in a park that got shot in 0.3 seconds. And then you see, with the Orlando shooting, they took 3 to 8 hours to go get the people, or however that situation happened. Because now U.S. Today is saying that some of the police shot somebody, peeped the guns in there. There's a discrepancy with different things in our community. How do you think police in Chicago can maybe unite with the community to kind of maybe curb these excess killings or whatnot? Like what programs are going on that may be able to help or bring this to a calm?
I think a lot of it has to do with just the access to guns. The wrong people are able to get guns in their hands, and there's a lack of leadership and respect for authority. But pretty much police officers, day in and day out, they're already doing it. You may not see it in the media. It may not be covered, but we're doing it every single day. I leave my home every single day, and I put my life on the line for my community. And that's nothing that you're looking to get a reward for or praises for, but it's already happening,
Right.
The relationship, you know what I'm saying, is not as bad as is often portrayed in the media. Because you can have a personal relationship, and I know, for instance, communities, and some of them are extremely poor communities, but you just get to know the people in the area that you're policing. So I'm getting out of my car. I'm walking the beat. I'm talking to the different residents. I know what time this student gets out of school, and I know that his mom is having a hard time. So it's just those things, just really getting to know the residents and the people that's in the community and building a relationship. So when something does happen, they're not afraid to call you. They actually want you to come and help. Knowing people
right,
by
and that's
name,
important.
just having that simple trust and respect on both ends.
That's a great point. Because a lot of these police communities or departments, they sometimes in communities with officers that don't look like the community or can not relate, or that there's a little gap there in relating. So like you said, they're afraid to even call the police when things arise, and they try to take things into their own hands because they feel like they're not going to get help. So that's an excellent point that you make that you're able to actually do. Even in Woodbridge, we recently started seeing more black cops and everything like that, and it's a bit more comforting. The things we see, like you say, in the media definitely kind of like try to sway our judgment and make us feel a certain way towards people. But when we come in, we relate and we speak and we get to know each other, and we realize that we're humans.
Exactly. That's what it basically boils
right.
down to. The police in your community, they're people too. They have families, they have husbands, they have wives, they have children. At the end of the day, and once you get to that personal, you get past the uniform, you get past the gun on their hip, you get past the vest, all the equipment. At the end of the day, they're people just like, we're all just ultimately human. And once you get more personable, you are able to relate better, and you just really get to know each other.
Right. That's definitely true, but it seems like there's a lot of police officers, whether they're black or white, that have this arrogancy about them. And there's a lot of people, even in my network, that are realizing these officers, even though they have an oath, they aren't necessarily following the Constitution, and they're actually impeding on people's natural rights. Like, I know you're trained to be a public officer, but how, for the people that understand law in my network, like how, realistically, when the police are under color of law, and the people are being treated like 14th Amendment citizens, how are we honestly supposed to really come together? Because I'm not sure if they trained you on the law and everything like that, but the police are actually private contractors under Admiralty law, and people are actually 14th Amendment citizens, 3/5 human. So they actually, the police are actually hired to protect the people's property, but the humans are actually the property. How are we going to get past that?
I'm not sure where you're getting that information from. We receive a lot of training, but I'm not the spokesperson for the department, so I try not to get into the police piece too much. I like to focus on my personal experience with, what I experienced growing up, and that was the reason why I wrote the book. Not because I wanted to be the spokesperson for what's going on right now in the community with the police, but I can just speak to my personal experience with that. I actually cannot talk about, my department in particular and touch on certain topics, because then that would get me in trouble. But anything that you want to discuss as far as the book is concerned and my experience, we can definitely touch on that. But I can't do just generals and say, well, all police are like this, because that's not the case. All black people aren't the same. All people, period. So just putting those qualifiers before it and making those assumptions, that's something that I cannot and will not do.
Right. Now you say you get into the book, and your father actually had a case. Did the lawyer actually allow you guys to win that case? You don't have to get too personal into it, but because they that's a horrible situation. But they took out an actual life and property, human being. They should have they can never repay you in money that will pay pay that back. But what was the resolution or remedy that they had for their mistake?
Right. So there was definitely a wrongful death lawsuit filed. We won the lawsuit, But in the twist, we didn't go home or walk away with any money. And they would definitely have to get the book to find out what happened. But, yeah, ultimately, we didn't walk away with anything. So how do you explain
Yeah,
you won the lawsuit, but you don't walk away with any money, any type of payment for the life that was taken unjustifiably?
Right, because you have to put the lawsuit on a UCC-1 financing statement. So whatever outcome of the lawsuit would have went to you guys, because you would have put a lien on it. That's actually one of the issues that a lot of lawyers don't tell people. But that's I really we definitely have to speak some more sometime in the future, because your story is amazing. But our show is coming to an end now. But I definitely want to thank you so much, and it's just I'm so thankful that you can find courage and an inspiration to help others through your experiences in life, and to go out there and put your life on the line every day is definitely commendable. And we're definitely sending protection and asking our ancestors and everybody to look out for you and continue to make sure that your community becomes better and better. So thank you so much, Cierra. Is there anything else you want to let the people know before we conclude for today?
Pretty much that we just really need to focus on our youth, and whether that's getting them involved with more sports programs, just extracurricular activity in general, because at the end of the day, an idle mind is the devil's workshop. My grandma used to always tell me that. So for me, it was sports. I was able to take out my aggression on the court. We just need to get our youth involved. We need to all be accountable and really just help out with that. And I want to say thank you again for having me on your show. I really appreciate it.
Oh, my pleasure. Thanks again. And have a really safe and amazing, great rest of your evening and day. And thanks again. I really appreciate you. Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
So thank you. So there we have it, our Omnipresence Media audience. Thank you so much for listening and sharing and coming on. Definitely appreciate your listening. So continue to be great people and inspiring and listening. And, we have amazing, great messages here today on the line from Cierra. So really, really please take those to heed, because the children are really the future. The adults almost are lost, and if the kids could be in a place like this today, not to put blame the thing, because we all got to take responsibility, but something drastic has to go down to really help the community. So if you want some assistance from somebody that's actually doing it, or has these different experiences, play the show and go buy Cierra's book right now and support and tell your friends, because there's something going on in our communities right now, and we definitely need to reach out and support each other and help each other out, because if we don't, I don't know if you realize by now, nobody will. And I'm not looking to spread any fear or anything like that, but if we don't wake up to truth and reality, then, we might as well just, stop. Quick story, recently put Russell Simmons on a interview with Apple TV, so they recorded in his house and whatnot. But during that interview, because he's a big vegan and yoga and all that kind of stuff, they were asking him about animals and everything like that, and people and the way they eat and everything. And he was asked, what can we tell the people to kind of help them realize they got to change even the way they eat and think and everything. And he basically said to kind of let them know that they'll just die if they don't change. And I'm like, wow, that's kind of fear-mongering, Russell, thanks. But at the same time, he's right. We see all the people dying of diabetes and this or that. Something goes down, these people are going to be the people that is going to have to be left behind. But thankfully we live in a great society where we can go down like that. We have, but we have to really wake up to what we can do as far as preparing our families and our futures for some positive impact. So I definitely on want to thank CE Week and Get Geeked events for allowing us to be media sponsor for the event that's happening this June 23rd at Metropolitan Pavilion in New York City. So definitely everybody. I might be sending out some free tickets and passes, but go to the website if you want passes. Go check out my website at vickensmoscova.com. That's VICKENSMOSCOVA.com. And get some, social media marketing services. Support another, melanated business. 'Cause I definitely looked up the word black, and I cannot call myself that. But definitely go to my website, check out my services. Thank you for listening this far. Apologize for the Block Talk Radio discrepancies earlier. That's what happens when you bring on amazing guests that have amazing information and stories to tell. Well, sometimes the unseen forces kind of went over the back. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. Thank you again for listening, and have an amazing rest of your day. This is your host, Vickens Moscova, shouting you out from Omnipresence Media, and peace.